And on the conversation this morning, we'll be exploring the latest developments in international relations and their impact on the Nigerian economy. Our PEC is the significance of the just concluded visit by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to South Africa and France, and the implications for Nigeria's economy when it comes to attracting and retaining investment. Joining me is Dr. Chijioke Ekechukwu. He is an expert in development economics. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure, Benny.
Okay, Doctor, let's dive right into it. You just had President Bola Ahmed Tinubu there and President Ramaphosa. President Tinubu's just concluded a visit to South Africa and earlier to France marks actually a significant shift in Nigeria's foreign policy, particularly for France, as the country has been seeking to boost ties with Anglophone Africa. And Nigeria is a key player in this strategy. What's your take, especially at a time several nations have turned their backs on their former colonial rulers and grown increasingly frosty towards the European Union in terms of relationship?
Firstly, I want to welcome our president back to Nigeria after his tour of the two major countries. A very important country in the European Union, France, and a very important country in Africa, South Africa. This visit, especially to France, was very strategic to France because of the relationship that they have had soured by their francophone countries. Today, you could see that he's extending a handshake with Nigeria, and which is actually, like I said, strategic to France. But having said that, of course, we know that before now, France remained a very good trading partner with Nigeria, and Nigeria is actually France's biggest trading partner in Africa. And so we've had relationships with France for many years, and I'm sure that's why you see a lot of French companies in Nigeria. And for South Africa, it's also very strategic because they are one of the biggest economies in Africa. Now, the most important thing in most of this, because we've had a whole lot of bilateral relationships, bilateral visits, and things like that. We've had a lot of government-to-government MOUs signed. Now, the question is, what have we been able to achieve with all the previous MOUs that have been signed? And have we been able to go back to them to review, to look at the previous MOUs signed with some of these countries, where we are with them, and what we intend to achieve with them?
More like a follow-up to actualize
some of those details. That is where to start from. So if we go through that, we will see where we're headed to with these countries. But I know that this could be a new vista for the country, Nigeria, because I want to believe that with the number of private sector captains of industry that he traveled with, there should be a lot of benefits. Obviously, I want to believe it's going to be a mutually beneficial visit and relationship that we're beginning to build afresh, especially in the new era for France having to create a better relationship with the Anglophone relationships.
Okay, now coming from
yes.
just taking a lead from where you stopped, coming from the challenges Nigeria is currently facing in terms of the economy, what's your view? Talking about the takeaways from France. Yes, we were talking about energy. We want to renew our energy. We want to boost our energy stand. We're doing it in country. But what other partnership, particularly for the renewables, the other industries? Talking about solid minerals. How much can we gain? What's that experience? What's that partnership? Do we have investors coming in? From the takeaways, what more should we look out for from this particular visit, particularly to France, before we get to delve into that of South Africa?
You know, for many years, we have always told foreign investors and foreign countries that the solid mineral potentials of Nigeria is so huge. And we've told them that. I think this is the time to actualize all the potential benefits we've mentioned in the past. This is the time to actualize them. A lot can be done in the solid mineral sector of our country. We know we have not even started exploring, we have not started earning anything, not anything reasonable from the solid mineral sector. So if this visit will, even if it's the only thing it achieves in making sure that we build our solid minerals, because a lot is there, and we need to build, and we need to make it our new crude oil and our new gas sector. And so a lot can be done if France says we are going to develop your solid mineral sector, and we need to also identify the aspect we want them to develop so that we won't just get into certain MOUs that we got into oil, so that we know we are in charge and control of our solid mineral sector. So it's a welcome development to especially imagine that they're going to be developing that sector. We need that development. And again, we want to also expect that they will help solve the insecurity issues that have bedeviled the country for some time. And so energy is there, a major sector that will actually trigger a whole lot of development in Nigeria. You know, imagine if we solve our energy problem today, a lot of things are going to happen. So that is actually the bane of the development of Nigeria that we've been waiting for. So we need to be deliberate about the results to expect from these countries. Especially, we don't need to take everything to the table. If we take only the energy sector and take the solid mineral sector, we would have achieved a lot in this particular visit. And so those are the things we have to do in expecting the investors to come into the country.
Okay, great. You say we don't need to take everything to the table, but our visit to South Africa, we've signed we have more than 20 agreements on the table. And one thing that was very significant from the agreements reached on how to actualize some of these investment opportunities and trade opportunities is the fact that President Ramaphosa offered a possible solution of retaining investment, which he proposed establishment of a clearinghouse that will ensure all bottlenecks are cleared when the need arises. What's your take on that? And aside that particular option, what other options do we have to ensure that we don't just attract this investment, but we get to retain this investment in country?
You know, when I started, I mentioned that South Africa is very strategic in the decisions we can take in Africa. They are very strategic because South Africa is a very developed country, yet Africa country, but very developed, and very huge economy, reasonable population. For the two countries, Nigeria and South Africa, merging to have a clearinghouse for other Africans, so welcome, because you know a lot of things, a lot of times our bilateral air service agreements that we've had are usually with European countries and Western countries. We don't even have a lot of them with African countries. And you see that when African countries are producing things, they first of all export to Europe, and before we receive them in Africa. Meanwhile, these African countries are our neighbors here, and we should actually do everything to ensure that we can trade amongst ourselves in Africa in order to benefit from all the trade agreements we have had within Africa. We are not benefiting yet, and we are not exploring and exploiting all the opportunities we have in Africa. I think we are better off when we do business amongst ourselves in Africa, far more than having to do with other European countries and Western countries. That is actually what the clearinghouse should be able to do for other African countries and for us.
Okay, in our interactions in all of these diplomatic shuttles, the fact remains that if you're not doing business with Nigeria, you're not in Africa yet. And from your own advice, we need to also do this trading, this investment partnership with our brother and sister nations in Africa, whom have actually gone a little bit ahead of us. There are a lot of things to learn from them. Based on that, technology transfer is being a bane of our development to a large extent as we keep the conversation going on the need to actually add value to whatever we are exporting. Some of these technologies are not in Africa. Some of these technologies are in Europe and all of that. How can we marry this foreign technology to our own local technology, talking about domesticating this for productivity?
AU as a body should be as powerful as we cannot imagine if we take advantage of the size of the countries within AU. And as a body, we should be able to bring all the issues of doing business in Africa to the table and take them one after the other to actually simulate them and check to see where we can get everything right. I know they have been meeting, and I usually think they haven't really hit the hammer on the right point. If they actually want to do business amongst themselves, or amongst ourselves, we need to sit back again on the business side of it and not on the political, on the business side of it, and look at all the things we need to talk about. The first thing to do is just to review the difficulties we have had amongst ourselves, doing business amongst ourselves, bring them to the table. Every country will bring out its own and bring out all the opportunities that exist. What are the privileges, what are the opportunities that we have in these countries and in this region? We have to bring them to the table, and then we'll start extracting one after the other to identify what we can do with each country in Africa in order to benefit. I will say, and I dare say again, that once we're able to do businesses with ourselves, we're going to develop more, and we're going to have more benefit in it. Especially the fact that we can actually decide that we use a particular, if we can work towards the issue of having a common currency that will actually make business.
Ongoing.
Yes. If we can make that happen, to have a common currency in Africa, that will actually help us. So every effort should be made towards doing that, and having more, like I say, bilateral air service agreements and more shipping lines linking up African countries within themselves.
As well as the payment systems.
Oh, the payment systems, yes. You know, one currency will also help that.
Yes,
But of course, you know, also, if we're talking about payment systems, Nigeria is far, far advanced more than many other countries of the world. I'm not even talking about Africa.
We're just competing. Kenya is the only country that is coming up close to us.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Chijioke Ekechukwu, for your thoughts with us at this particular point in time. It's been a refreshing moment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Benny.
Now moving